Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dancing Sober podcast. Happy New Year, happy 2023. Really glad that you're still here with us. I want to give a big shout out to Espacio and thank them for hosting us here still. One of the best places to shop in Boa Heights. Come out and check out all the good things that they have. You could also find them on their website, espacio1839.com. We still have our coffee, but we no longer have our coffee sponsor. So, Picaresca is not our sponsor anymore, and I want to say thank you to them for everything that they did to help support this podcast while they were our sponsor. Thank you so much, Picaresca Cafe. You can still find them, of course, over in their little shop by Soto and Olympic. Thank you so much. I'm going to continue to do my coffee. I still haven't figured out how I want to do it. Maybe I'm going to do a membership thing. So, anyways, we'll talk about that later. Also, thank you so much to Esquina Bike Shop. Thank you for supporting us throughout December. You can find them over on Soto near Boyle. Also, they will be having a bike ride this Sunday that I will be a part of, riding from LA to Long Beach. So if you're into those kind of long rides on a Sunday, find them on Instagram at Esquina Bike Shop. So let's get this episode started with our first guest of the year, a community favorite, ladies and gentlemen, Liliflor. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dancing Sober podcast. And in the studio we have Liliflor Arte. I mean, that's not your last name, but...
This is Liliflor, respect.
Yeah.
Liliflor Art.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Let's start by saying Happy New Year. Let's start by...
Do like a breathe.
Take a deep breath, of course.
I'm taking a breath. I'm coming up to breathe.
Yeah, okay.
It's a new year of cleansing and dropping dead weight.
Okay.
Over 200 pounds of dead weight. And I'm good.
Okay, so do you have any New Year, I don't like to say resolutions, but goals or new systems you're putting in?
I like to say not even so much goals, but reflection. I think reflections are very important, revelations. And so part of the reflections and leading into goals. So right now, I'm just trying to heal my spirit into the new year. I have a lot of heavy things happening right now in my life with my health conditions and my personal life as well, that of course I'm going to keep private. But moving forward, it's about me now just learning to be myself again. And I don't know how that looks like, or I don't even have goals for the new year because I was just living day by day in this last 3 years since the pandemic and quarantine, Also have goals for traveling, and I really look forward to traveling and also building international connections as well, and rebuilding and reconnecting, because I already traveled internationally and painted in Mexico, and I've been into Peru and make connections like that.
But it's something that never ends, right? That desire to keep wanting to do these things, to reach out and to touch and to meet people across the world. Yeah,
across the world, across country, wherever, like I'm always game to build.
Let's see, 2023 is the year of Michael Jordan. So let's see, we all have a Michael Jordan year.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm looking forward to having a Michael Jordan year.
Yeah. So let's now, I want to go back, of course, like we always do on this podcast, and start from the beginning. To get to know, like, Lily before Lily had the floor, before Lily Art. So let's go back to just little Lily and where Lily grew up and where she was born, and tell us some stories about you that maybe people have never heard.
Yeah, okay, because people are like, okay, where's she from? Like, okay. Well, I was born in East LA. I was born in East LA. I had to say that. I was born in East LA, of course, in General Hospital. I was born there. But my mother at the time, we lived in South Central Los Angeles, and we lived also some parts of Inglewood. So it was more Inglewood, South Central area. I grew up there most of my life. And some part of my life when I was in the 4th grade all the way to 8th grade. So it was almost like 5 years. I lived in a suburban city called City of Commerce.
Oh, shit.
And that's where I went to Suba Elementary, and I went to Bell Gardens High School. Then in ninth grade, we moved back to, and this time we moved to Mid City. So I lived in Mid City by USC. And so that's when I started taking the RTD, the rough, tough, and dirty. So I took the rough, tough, and
So you had
dirty.
the full LA experience.
So
all
that's
across.
when I started
Yeah.
doing public art.
What do you mean? Wait, let's go back to before you go into like doing art yet. When you were still little and when you were growing up in Commerce, what kind of life was that?
A little interesting because when we moved in, I came from South Central, and my tia had moved over there on Lanto Street. Shout out to my tia, bless her soul. She's going through some chemo. Anyway, so que esté bien la tia. But yeah, my auntie and my mom were like besties, and so my tia's like, come over here, and so my mom really tried to give us a better life than what we knew, in South Central at that time. Now it's South LA, but I still call it South Central. And she tried to give us a good environment to live in, and it was really nice. But when we moved in, it was the white flight that happened in those schools.
You're talking about Mid City now.
No, I'm talking about Commerce
Okay.
and Bell Gardens, like the area. But I lived in Commerce. So there was what we called the white flight.
Yeah.
When we moved in, folks were moving out because there was more brown folks moving in to
Yeah.
more of a suburban area, right?
Yeah.
And so my mom really tried to give us a good life. And at the time, my mom was a welder. So my mom was one of the few welders, female welders. And so we moved there, and why we moved back was because the company shut down in the 80s, and it was Christie Electric Corporation at that time. My mom worked for them for almost 15 years as one of the very few handful of female welders doing transformers for the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah, my mama era chingona.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, my mama. Yeah, so she worked doing that, and they shut down the company, and my mom couldn't afford to keep us in there anymore. It was at one point, I remember us being homeless, and we actually lived in a van, and we were living in Commerce in a van, and then eventually she was able to rent a room, and we showered in and out, and we were homeless for a bit. So I know
this was the 80s.
those was the 80s. Yeah, that was like 1979, 1980, right? And then she couldn't do it, and so then we moved back to what we knew, Mid City. All our family is there. My whole family is there. That's where one of the first on 51st and Central by McKinley. I'm sorry, 51st and McKinley, where my family, the first Ramirez market popped up before the one right here in Boa Heights. That's my familia. I come from a family of merchants. That's on my dad's side. Yeah. So that was the first tiendita. And I grew up there, so that's all I knew. And so we moved back, and my grandfather had a bar called the Western Bar off of Slauson and Western. So I grew up all around there, so we went back.
Being young and living in a van, I just wonder, like, was it, did you know what was going on, or were you just like, all right, this is just what it is?
I knew what it was going on. Like, I knew what was going on. My mom's mother had just passed away. She lost her, they closed down the job. And I remember her even, like, looking back at that time, I didn't know what the other mental, emotional, spiritual things, I didn't know what was happening. But looking back, my mom was going through a depression,
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's hard to identify those things when we were young, and even within ourselves, we didn't know those. We didn't have the language for it.
So looking back and seeing how certain things that she did, I know she was going through a depression, and so eventually she decided we're gonna have to move back. I can't do it, She couldn't, so we went back to Mid City, and at that time, my mom actually was trying to get property at the time, or she had some property, and then she lost that too. So it was real difficult to see that. I was too young to help her, and I was just a kid watching what was going adult stuff, and I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know what to do. I was just going along with it.
Yeah, that's basically what we do, right? Just sit next to our parents when we're little.
Just go.
That's what we were taught to do. Nomás siéntate aquí.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I seen a lot of hardship my mom went through.
Yeah. That's crazy. What was your school life like in those days?
My school life in those days, well, when I was young, I went to Belong Elementary School, and that was in Inglewood. No, that wasn't Inglewood. That's South Central. That was another part. But I went to also High Park, that one was in Inglewood, off of Slauson and Crenshaw. And then after that, I went to High Park. Or was it High Park first? No, it was High Park first and that. And then I went to school there, and I went to a Catholic school there too, in the preschool off of Vermont and Slauson. So that's all my hood right there. My stomping grounds, my familia is still there. A lot of them there, still there. And so that's all I knew. And then we went to a suburban place, and I was like, oh, this is different. But I think the hood never left me. You know what I mean? I was a fighter, different. And I did meet great people that I'm still friends till this day. And I love them dearly. And they showed me another way to live too. And the schools were okay, like I got in a lot of fights. Everybody knew me for fights. I was a fighter.
Where was this?
That was in Suva Intermediate. And then, but I was doing art in school, and I won awards in the 7th and 8th grade, like best artist and all that stuff. Yeah.
How did that start? Let's go back to when you were drawing at home or something.
Well, I was drawing at home. I first started with little cartoons, draw the little cartoon and you get a prize and, you get a scholarship or whatever.
Like so Bob did in La Bamba.
Yeah, so I did that, and I sent it in. I won.
You did?
Yeah, and they came to the door, and they offered me schooling or whatever. And my mom was like, you want to do this? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do music. And then so she put me in this school, and she's like, okay, you're going to do music. We'll put you in music. She tried to put me in this music, and I wanted to do piano. And they gave me an accordion. I was so mad. I was like, I don't want to fucking do an accordion, And so and then I quit that because I was like, I didn't want to do an accordion. My dad actually gave me one of his accordions. And he had all dusty in the garage back in the day over there off of his old house off of McKinley over there. And so I remember that, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to do that. And then I just said, fuck it, I just want to do art. And then I did an art class.
You would have been a good accordion player. I could see you now.
Yeah. So my art teacher, Mr. Schroeder, rest in peace. And my drama teacher back then, Ms. Duffy, she was so cool. Rest her soul. She was awesome. They really nourished my artistic abilities. I was into acting, choir. I did all the arts, dance.
What school was this at?
That was Suba. Yeah. And I also did it in high school, which was Bell Gardens High School. Go Lancers, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like I was in dance, theater, like all the arts. I hung out with the weirdos, the nomads, the rejects, I hung out on the opposite side of the campus, but I also was involved also politically in the campus because I also did like ASB. I was the ASB treasurer when I was in senior. I was also in homecoming court. I was also on the Princess for the homecoming and all that stuff. I had great grades. I was in advanced prep classes, that kind of thing. But I always had like double, triple lives. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What do you mean by that? Okay.
Well, I was riding the bus from South Central.
Yeah.
I didn't look like the people in my school. I wore cords, Cortez, rings, which I still love my rings. I went to the Slauson Swap Meet, got my mixtapes there. I look different. I come from the hip hop world. You know what I mean? I was hanging out with my cousins back in the day off 112th Street over there and Watts, they was the part of the crew, Siberian Nights, and then did the Radiotron. My mom had a van. Remember, I lived in the van. And so my mom would just loan it to my cousin, and like we'd go to Venice with the and so I was a little girl. I was like 12. I was like, oh yeah, kind of was just trying to break dance, doing neat pop locking, just a little moves, some of my stuff, and I was I was a big girl, OGB. I don't go around like, oh, I'm gonna, but that's what my quinceañera, DJ 007 DJ'd at my quinceañera. I wanted Siberian Nights to perform. They fucking did their shit. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't do the typical quinceañera, you know, I was hip hop, you know, so I come from that, and so, you
I was
know,
always jealous of people that got to go to Radiotron because that was my age too. But I lived over here in East LA. I didn't have, in my group of friends, I didn't have friends around me that were into that. So I never got to go to Radiotron. And it remained a part of history that I always wanted to like touch, but never got to. So that's
awesome. I got to go. Yeah, I'm blessed to have gotten to go. And
did you ever become an MC? Because you look like
no, actually, in for the Foundation Collective at the Peace and Justice, I was a host MC for that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, at the time, Tuesday nights hip hop. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm riding the bus, you know, doing the 110, the 108, different buses, you know, I'm trying to navigate. That's the first time I met Chaka. I mean, Chaka don't remember me because I don't know Makosa. I was just trying to like, you know, get up, you know, just trying to do my secret writing, you know. And I was like, I remember seeing him jump in the bus, and then like, he's like big old fat letters, and I'm looking up, there he is, the legend. Like, you know. And I remember doing the Ditching Tuesdays at the California Theater and HP of Graffiti. Taggers know what's up. That's where I hung out, you know. And I had like
you guys had Ditching Tuesdays.
Yeah, so that was
a place that everybody went.
Yeah, everybody went. Most of the taggers. That's pretty. The taggers, graffiti artists. That's where we went. You know, supposedly to watch movies, but it ended up being like little squad fights, drinking, and all that stuff. So then like mobbing buses. And so then I went. I mean, I was riding the buses from back then. Now you're gonna get to know Liliflor, right? You're making me smile.
No, I remember those things. You're making me smile so much because we grew up we were born the same year, so we have identical like trajectories as far as like when we learned about hip hop and when we started writing on walls and when we used to write the bus.
Yeah.
Back in the days when you could hang on the back of the bus and like.
So I had multiple like places and spaces that I hung out in, you know, like that was one of them, the graffiti, and then on, you know, tagging back in the day. So like just riding the bus and hanging out with different people and meeting different people as I went along. I was just having fun.
Yeah.
I was being a creative and it's just living out of the box. And so when I went to school, I was a studious. Like I had AP classes. I had, you know, drama, dance, you know, I was into all of that. But on my way home, I had a whole different life. On my way to school, I had a whole different life. And my yearbook, you see, hey, don't be a loca, stop tagging stuff. Like I have different people, like, you know, like, this is my yearbook, the dedications. Don't get crazy. Don't think you're crazy. Like, everything's about me, like, doing some fucked up shit, you know, like, and then, like, we wish you success. You know, it's more like, don't get loca, and, you know, don't start beating people up, and, you know, stuff like that. And so,
that's hilarious.
It's funny, though, but, like, I mean, it's funny now, but like I wish I had more mentorship back then in a different way. But we were mentoring ourselves in the 80s because we didn't have after school programs like they have now.
Yeah.
And so that was one aspect of my quadruple life. That was one, and the other one was living where I lived. I was living within 4 different neighborhoods. I mean, I lived where Drifters neighborhood was at, Heartbeats. I was going to give it away. Rolling 30s, Intruders, you know, and so like, I mean, what do you do? Like fucking join in or like, you know, survive? And then pretty much I joined in.
That was another
and
thing.
I'm not gonna say what hood, but yeah, like I was navigating in the neighborhood, you know, to survive.
That was another thing that back then, like no matter what, I mean, still in some neighborhoods, but like back in my neighborhood, like you couldn't turn the corner without seeing like a group of people.
Yeah.
That you had to walk through, and
you had to walk through, and so there was times I had to go pick
sketchy.
up. I had to go pick up my sister, you know, like from the store because she got blocked by some homegirls, blah blah blah, and I go fucking save her. You couldn't wear BKs because then you're, you know, so you had to like do, you know, K-Swiss, BKs. You had certain shoes you couldn't wear. And then back then you had like the little clicas that came off of like, and that's where MS started in the 80s. And I was there. I saw the whole damn thing, you know, like they were playing football, then the cliques turned into like gangs, full gangs. So that happened, you know, and I experienced all that, the whole crack fucking Bataram era that was there, you know.
Bataram.
You know, the whole everything, Dr. Dre, NW. I was up in the cheese, you know, like, you know, and I was in it, you know, and my mom was working, trying to survive, and I was just navigating the calles, trying to get to school and
picking up bits and pieces of life. I mean, what were we doing back then? It was kind of like just a whirlwind that we were playing in, right?
It was crazy. It was a crazy
So
whirlwind.
one of the things too that was different back then is that when you were out of the house, you just took care of yourself. Nobody took care of you. Nowadays, like people, kids get dropped off at school, picked up at school, brought home. Like if they get
Everybody
really
knows where you're
taken care
at.
of.
You have a GPS on your phone.
Everybody knows where you're at all the time. And back then it was like you walked out of your door, you're good.
I don't know.
You could do whatever the fuck you wanted until you came home. And so yeah, we were kind of like just out exploring like adults, but we didn't know how young we were, I think.
Yeah, even at the time, I ran away too, probably 2 times.
So many people ran away.
I ran away.
It was like so common.
I ran away to my tia's house. It was the cool tia, you know what I mean? Like, at the time, and also at the time, my friend Shelly had her sister, and that's when I got introduced to the rock music. That's when I got introduced to metal, and, I got introduced to thrash metal. My friend Chuck, what's up? Homie Chuck used to work right here right here in the corner, right here in cheese, ¿cómo se llama el wine and cheese? Oh my God, Guillermo spot. Right
Eastside Love.
Eastside Love. My homie, I went to school with him. He was the band fucking leader and shit.
Before when it was the Metropolitan.
Chuck.
I said,
Chuck and I
Chuck.
went to school together.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I got introduced from my friends in the arts, right? Of course, they're going to listen to some psychedelics. We're going to listen to some Doors. So I go with my friend Shelly. She invited me to eat at her house. She's Puerto Rican, so I go across the street from the school because I can't go to South Central and eat because it's too far. Yeah. And they can't know that I'm riding far because we're still using my auntie's address.
Yeah.
Now you get arrested for that.
What?
Yeah, well, yeah, now or fined for like using the different address for the different district, right? So we did that, and so I was across the street, and then I walked in. Okay, can I tell you the story? This is like, I don't know, my friend, Monchi, Ramona, what's up, Ramona, Perez, and my friend Araceli, I remember her taking me to her house, and her sister, Monchi, was, they had 2 twins in the room, so I remember 2 twin beds. I remember opening the door, and she's laying down with the magazine, and she's got her little 60s glasses, and I know she was super stoned. And then she had the Doors, posters.
This is a movie, yeah.
And so I walked in. Yeah, it was like a movie. And then, and so I'm like, and she's looking at me who are you? And I'm like, hi, what's that?
Introduce me to your world.
Yeah. And then that's when I was Riders on the Storm. And then I was like, yeah, so that's when she changed my life.
You're taking me on a trip just by telling me that story.
So, yeah, I'm sure you probably had those experiences.
Had lots of experiences like that.
So that, and then she had another cousin, Veronica. What's up, Veronica? She was totally a rocker, crop top, heavy metal. Or her cousin, Joe Jose, was totally rockers, metal, all that, Metallica, Scorpio, all that. And also my friend Red as well. Dude, she had punk rock. She had a fucking mohawk before all these motherfuckers. She fucking had her docs and everything. Those are my friends. And so I had different friends, and I rocked with them. In other words, when I went to backyard punk metal fucking parties, and I looked like South Central. I had I thought it was Salt and Pepper, so I had my hair short, and I had all the rings. I had the cords. I mean, I had it all, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then I go to these metal backyard parties, and I look like I didn't belong. I totally went to the wrong party, but they're like, what you doing here?
But you still had the thing with hip hop and punk rock is the independent.
It's very similar.
Independent kind of culture, anti-culture, whatever.
It was anti-culture in LA happening, so I was there.
Yeah.
And then, so I got to experience that. And I'm so grateful that I am, and that's why I'm so eclectic right now. I don't know if you see me.
Oh, of course.
Even the way I dress.
You've always been.
I'm very eclectic because I've been like that since day one.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that from my mother. I know I learned it from her. Because we had a Buddhist monk coming to our house at one point. My mom took us to Maria Conchita Alonso's curandero. We went to the church. We went to Baptist.
Wait, why did you go to the curandero? I want to hear this.
My mom took us para hacer una limpia. I don't know what the hell. I was too young, but she's like, vamos a ir para que, I don't know, que echen las cartas o no sé, una limpia Pero es el babalao de la María Conchitalosa. So we had to go. I remember he tenía el tabaco y todo. Like he got that mountain, and I remember the whole thing, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, so I think from her eclectic worldview, my mom was very eclectic like that. Like, she made friends with everyone.
Very open.
She had black friends. She made a comadre, and Nina, rest in peace, across the street from where we lived, and she was a single mom. And she became a godmother to my sister. My mom, they became comadres. And she's a black woman. And so that's where I also learned jazz. From my neighbor, from Nina, family. Nina, I walked in, I'm like, who is this? John Coltrane. And they started showing me the albums and Elder. And I was just like, I mean, I've always been open. And I think Spirit took me in those paths to be where I'm at today.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think I talked too much, but I'm excited to share. But
I'm excited. Yeah. Your stories are great, so there's no reason for you to feel like.
Yeah, and I went to disco parties, and I went to
disco and
I went to undergrounds in LA, and I went everywhere.
Did you ever cha-cha haircut?
Yeah, I went. No, that's something I had a mini cha-cha, but not really.
No,
I kind of tried to avoid it. I'm more B-girl. But I did do the quebradita thing at the time, and then when I was 19, but pre-quebradita. I was there before Ezequiel Peña got famous when the Banda R15. I wanted to go to a cultural spot.
Did you used to go to Lido's?
I used to work there.
Oh, shit.
I'm OG,
dude,
yo.
That was the shit
I
back
worked there before Lido's was cracking.
That place was amazing.
Before the Thursdays came around, I was there.
Oh, wow.
I got hired as the cashier, and I was also the host to the contest at the contest. I was like the one that was doing like who won. Anyway, so I could tell you a whole story about that, man. Like that's a whole other shit. You want to know about that? Like I was there, so day one before it all popped off.
Well, you need to start writing your memoirs in each different genre of
should.
Music. You like my quebradita memoir, my punk rock memoir, and
also I met folks from Slayer, like fucking Tom Lombardo, John Araya. Like I
love it. Let's try to circle back to your art so we can start talking about that because I want to talk about that. So let's go back to how you started doing art and how did that become like your main thing?
Well, it wasn't my main thing. I was trying to be, I didn't even know what the hell I was trying to be. I was just trying to explore life at the time. I think when I was 19, after high school.
Okay, you didn't go to college for art, but you did get a degree.
Yes.
In
world cultural studies, world arts and cultural studies at UCLA.
Which is still relevant in a way to
in the art department.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was in the art department.
Yeah.
So I had to apply like 2 times.
Okay.
First to get accepted to UCLA, and then second to be accepted in the art department.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me about that journey and how this became your thing.
I didn't go to UCLA until my 30s, until I was 33. But I went to community college for like 10 years.
Same.
I went to LACC because I was living in Mid-City. And then I was like, nah, I didn't want to. I thought I was going to do like theater production. I fucking hated it.
They have their film department.
And then the whole art people me caían gordos, and I was like, F that. And then my friend's like, let's go to Compton Community College. And I was like, hell yeah, no one goes there. It's not East LA College. I want to be out of I just want to start a new life, Because also at the time, my mom moved us out of Mid-City because there was a drive-by in our house. And I'm like, no, niece almost got killed. And so we had to move. And so we moved to Bell Gardens at the time and ended up going to Compton Community College.
Nice. So
when I went to Compton Community College with my friend Mochi, my friend's sister, the one that was like a stoner, we call her the friend stealer because she stole all her sister's friends, and so she's my friend now. We're more close anyway. So she, we go to Compton Community College, and that's when I first took my first Latin American Studies class, and it changed my life with Dr. Bermeo, and it was very eye-opening, opened up every pathway in my life, I could say, to where I'm at now. Like understanding about myself, my healing path, my roots path, just an understanding of a worldview, because I was just so messed up in the hood, and then that really was a life changer.
Yeah.
That was a life changer.
Yeah. I think, I mean, so many people when they get to that point in their life, especially like in our ages, because we were just running around, there wasn't a lot of awareness of who we were. Like we were just street kids is what I call it. I have no
Yeah.
other, because I wasn't in a gang, and I wasn't, I mean, I was a little bit of a tagger,
Affiliated.
but I wasn't, you know, I was just a street kid is the only way I could like put it. Like we were out in the streets, we were drinking, we were doing shit, we were fucking maybe stealing cars or fucking around and shit. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, GTA school.
and then all of a sudden, same here, I just took one fucking class in Chicano studies and was like, what the fuck?
I'm like questioning our reality,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like it completely alters your brain, and it changes so much. And it's so different from kids nowadays, you know, the way that they grow up. And I mean, a lot of them already have this in them, you know, they're taught this from a really young age, which is beautiful to see sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, that college experience, mind-opening, eye-opening,
Very I am.
is a common thread in people's stories here. So yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting.
Life changing.
Yeah.
Say the
And I
least.
love hearing these stories about the teachers, and you still remember their name.
Oh, I do, because they became a part of my life, you know, in many aspects of in every way, you know, they were life changers. And I remember going to my first, it was going in the cafeteria in Compton College, and they had they didn't have a metro, it was called something else, I forgot, and they were having a political panel discussion and about culture, and I was like, what's this? Oh my God, these are my people. What? I'm indigenous? What native am I? Wait a minute. Nobody told me I'm native or indigenous. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
So I had a,
And everything checks off. Like, yeah, you are.
yeah, and you know that. Like, I didn't know what I was.
Yeah.
You know, I know it was Mexicana. I always identified as Mexican, and my mom goes, "Tú eres Mexicana?" I'm like,
Yeah.
Mexicana.
Yeah,
I never said I was American or Chicana, nothing like that. I just said, soy Mexicana, soy de Mexico. My mom, I wasn't from Mexico, I was born here. Well, my mom, I was so proud to say que era de Mexico. Tú di que eres de Mexico. Soy de Mexico.
I totally get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow. So art, then you started doing work on your own. You started doing things for the organizers, or
Yeah, actually, boom. So what happened was this. So that
wow, what happened was
what happened was what happened was that happened. My third eye opened. My life changed, right? And I was like, give me some peyote, give me some acid, give me a sweat lodge. How do you do it? I want to go to another dimension, and you know, this and that. So then that really helped me to open my worldview, right? First and foremost. Then at that time, I prayed to find a good path and my life journey. And I knew, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do theater. I'm not going to do that. And so then I decided I'm going to be a child development major.
yes,
And I'm going to be a
like 90% of the women.
and I'm going to
back then.
be a preschool teacher because we look good and we like the kids. And I love kids. And I
Yeah,
love
of
kids.
course.
And I really wanted to do that. I love kids. I was the tia that had all the nieces and nephews. I was the one that carried them around, put them to bed. I was so like, I loved them. Yo era decían la niñera.
Yeah, that was a big choice though for a lot of women from those years, was child development
Yeah.
major.
I had my little nephews on one hip, and you know, los cargaba donde quiera, you know, I was like that tia, right? The cool tia, and I carried them around. But so I did that, and then I at that time I was hooked up with my partner back in the day, my ex-husband, Robert Tovar from Blues Experiment. And you know, yes. So back then, so by that time I was 21, and I was doing more political organizing. At that time I already had gotten into more political organizing.
I had actually forgot
and that kind of
you guys
thing.
were together.
Yeah. So then, I did more
That's how
political.
long it's been that I actually forgot that. That's crazy.
That was like 1990, 91 when I hooked up with them. Yeah. So then that time, I did more political organizing. And I wasn't doing art. I mean, I do it here and there for fun or whatever, but I wasn't doing it as I'm going to be an artist or I want to do it professionally. No, not at all. I was more organizing. And so through organizing, eventually I was like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to organize. I'm just gonna like probably paint. But then I was like, nah. And then I was still trying to survive. And at that time, I remember Peace and Justice Center in 1994, 1995. I was working for the Conservation Corps, and then alongside Will Dog from Ozomatli and other artists like Robert Tobar as well from Blues Experiment, one of the original Ozomatli members as well. And then, so we did the takeover, and again, political organizing. I'm already like 23, and so like we did that, and that's when my life changed, and that's when I actually started to do art. I kind of was attached to political organizing, but at the same time detaching from political organizing. Because I say this because anybody who was from LA that got to go to the Peace and Justice Center at that time off of Bixel and 4th Street, right across the street from the old school club, Princess Club.
Mm-hmm. The Glam Slam.
The Glam Slam. We got to go there. Then that the place was also very eclectic, with eclectic people, eclectic friends that were also part of it. So we were there, and I remember Isis, was back then known as Penny. She's like, oh man, you draw really good, and you do this really good. You should be doing. She was like 16, 15, 16. And I was like, oh, that's all right, just kind of playing around. Because I think I was painting the wall, and I did like a mini mural, and it was just natural. This is what we're going to do, decorate, right, the space. And she was like, you need to be painting. And I was like, every excuse, I don't have a canvas, I don't have time, I don't have brushes, I don't have paint. Every excuse why I couldn't do it, I told her. And then she comes the next week with her mentor teacher. I need to remember his name. Oh my God, I think his name is Angel. He worked at that Methodist church, Progressive Methodist church, right there off of Vermont and Mariposa. I forgot that, or that.
I know what you're talking about.
That big one. Yeah. I don't Methodist or Episcopalian. I don't forgot.
It's a big church.
It's a big church, but
it's
very progressive, right? They do a lot of progressive programming. And so they had our program. She used to go there. And so she brings them to like, look at me do paint. It was like, it was kind of weird. I was like, okay. He's like, oh, and he's like asking me why I'm not, and he's like, you're really good. You should be painting. And I was like, she came to show me off to him, like, and I was like, no, it's cool. Like, I don't, it's just doing my little thing. Not a big deal, And he's like, okay, well, I think you should really paint. I was like, all right, cool. Nice to meet you. Goodbye, right?
Yeah, vete.
And then the next week, he fucking comes with two crates, a crate of brushes,
nice,
paints, and gesso prepped, upcycled canvases.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And then I painted these, and then I kept painting, and then I did my first show for the William Ray Photography Center. And Ceci Garcia, like, she curated that first show there. Well, my first show, it's not her first show or their first show, but my first show at the William Ray Photography Center, and then it was over. And here I am.
Or it was starting.
It
was
starting.
the beginning.
It was over, my excuses and my new beginning.
I love that it's something that came to you natural. I love that it's something that you weren't taught. I love that it's just born from you, because I think that's part of why people love to see you do what you do. You really are like a community favorite. Like, people love you, right? I mean, and they love your work, and it's mostly because you're so honest and
raw.
Yeah, and you're
raw and hardcore. Oh, I know.
Yeah, there's no bullshit. There's no bullshit, but it's with a smile. It's not like there's some people that are no bullshit, but they're assholes. So like, you're no bullshit, but with a smile and like with a caring attitude. It's not hardcore political, but it's still showing you, like, in its own way, what you represent, or who you are, and just beautiful things about our old culture. Appreciate your work a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate yours too. Amazing photographer, filmmaker.
But it's about you. So after that, you started, just selling or doing little booths, or, I mean, because, all right, let's show the time span from then till now. Like, what year was that?
That was 1995 at the Peace and Justice Center. Yeah.
95. So that's 20, almost 20 years.
So my first other big show, I did the William Ray Photography Center after that. And I remember sensing my art, and I was shaking and like don't take it from my hand. Like I was sweating, and like, the whole thing. It was my first piece in the show. I was like so nervous, and they sold.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I could do this. I could actually make some money, or like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that was, I think the William Ray Photography Center was in 1996, I believe. And then I kept painting. And in between that, there was the Zapatista movement stuff that was happening. I was very involved in that. A lot of political organizing still, and painting.
That was a big time for
A big time
Chicanos
for
in
that.
LA.
Big time. Yeah, so I was working with Donali Center and Adriana Manjares at that time. And then, of course, linked up with the PRC with Zach de la Rocha and like Rudy and Yao and Azan Underground, and doing shows at the PRC. And then you had Mujeres de Maíz. And so that was like the pathway, right, of all that. And in between all of that, there was also night gigs happening all over LA, like the Ozo gigs and like Blues Experiment, whatnot, right? And I remember like back in the day, like even like all the people we kind of know now, and the people that have passed on recently, like Soraya and like Spy 1000, Ray, and different people in our community at that time. We were young and we were just exploring. So I was exploring with everyone else, and at the time trying to make some money, sustain and live, and so that, remember at that time, Robert and I moved to Boyle Heights. We were in Compton at that time, a little back house back in the day, and then we're like, let's move close to Boyle Heights because that's where it's happening. I'm painting a band. I need to be close to Hollywood. Back in the time when was the Hollywood clubs that were happening, like the House of Blues, what was the other one, the Dragonfly, and all those other clubs that were happening at the time with gigs, right? So those were happening, and while he was doing the band thing, I was like, sometimes go and I made jewelry at the time too. Go and like hustle my shit. Hey, can I vend my stuff at your gig? Everything was like, I was trying to vend, and like go to Venice, and like I did all of that.
And in that community, it's so cool to be able to do that too. Like there are people that are welcoming you.
Supportive. It was supportive. I was like, go ahead, man, make your money. So I did all of that. And then after that in 97, I had my first big gig with self-help graphics. Well, 96, I did my first one, Birthing Nebula. 96, 97, did Birthing Nebula. I put it for my first Dia de los Muertos as self-help graphics, which I vended before as self-help graphics, but that was my first show.
Yeah.
And then I got invited by Sandra de la Loza in 1996 to do a show for 1997, which was a traveling art exhibit with Wayne Healy, all the big ones, like 6 of us. And I was invited to do a partnership silk screen pool art piece that traveled in the Southwest with the Smithsonian, sponsored by the Smithsonian Museum. So that was my other, so it started kind of.
You're like, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, Wayne, I'm like so thankful. Thank you, Sandra. Sandra's my sister and mentor and big sister.
Yeah. That's a crazy, I mean, it's so simple to say like in a couple minutes, but this is a long time that all this happened. And I remember when I met you was, of course, back then during the band days, and I would see.
Oh, was it Slow Rider?
I would see you at the gigs
all the time.
But it wasn't until I saw you once wearing rollerblades with not rollerblades, skates with your giant butterfly wings.
My wings.
That I said, wow. Like, this woman is amazing, because you put so many worlds together in that one outfit that you wore for Dia de los Muertos, I think it was, when Self-Help did it at Belvedere Park.
Oh, okay.
That day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when I was like, wow, like
What the hell she is. Yeah.
yeah, it was badass. It was really dope.
Well, let me tell you about that. I also did, that's part of my interventionist work. You know, I am inspired by Guillermo Gomez Peña, by Asco, you know, Willie Heron and
Performance
Patsy
art.
Valdez and Dan Gamboa, all of the crew, you know.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired by them, you know, even though they might not know it, or like some of them may not know me or by a friend or whatever, you know, like I am very inspired by that. So that's why I feel that I'm also an expressionist, you know, like too, like the artist from Mexico, ¿cómo se llama? El Toledo. I don't know if you know who he is, el que se falleció. He's an artist in Mexico and political artist as well. And he didn't say an artist. He was like, I'm an expressionist, and I feel like I'm an expressionist. If you know my trajectory of work that I've done, I do performance art. I've also done poetry, spoken word, been a band, and I also do like costume couture, like costuming, and like I just one day like you'll see me like this, another day you don't know what I'm coming from. I mean, I roller skated right here in the East Side, love, when
Yeah, I was there that.
yeah, right. And then you'll see me with the, you know, like that's just who I am, and I feel I'm inspired by those that came before me, and I want to give props to them. You know, they were here to pushing those doors and boundaries, and thank you. You know, I want to thank them. You know.
Yeah, explain a little bit that butterfly wings that you made. It had like a lot of like little computer pieces in it and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the one with the fence.
Yeah,
I made
I think
a couple.
Oh, okay.
I made like 3. So that one was made with a barbed wire and fence, right? That's
Yeah,
the
I
one
think
you
so,
saw.
yeah.
And then I got computer chips and I put them in the back. Yeah.
That it was just like it was the biggest thing that day.
Yeah.
Every time you walked around, people were just turning and
What the hell?
the gaze followed you as you went around the whole.
Yeah.
GAZE gaze.
Yeah. So I did that. My initial thing was because of the border, you know, border politics and then the border, and also changed it up a bit. And one of them I did with the pink skirt, and I did an interventionist piece for that. It was a downtown LA at the Instituto Mexicano de Los Angeles. It was a piece that I did to honor las mujeres de Juárez. So I put a bunch of crosses. So I changed it up a bit here and there. So a bunch of pink crosses.
Okay, so you would just alter it at different.
At different, I would alter in different.
Nice.
So I did interventionist work. So when I show up to these art openings, they're like, "Are you part of the show or not?" Like, I'm like, that's the whole point, right? Yeah.
I love it. When did you start like doing more murals and like public art stuff?
Oh man. Okay, so I started, it wasn't something I meant to like do, like, or I'm gonna be a muralist, I want to paint big or like about right big. No, I don't do that, right? Even though I like painting big, but it was more for me. It was I'm gonna give props to Miguel Murals, to Chose, you know, chose one from Boy Heights, and I just Raul Gonzalez, he'd invite me like, hey, come and paint, and I'm like, and then they just go. I went to one of the first ones I did with him, was right here on Cesar Chavez, where the Catholic Charities is at. Like
yeah.
Right. You see the one with the Coyoshauki and the Adelita, that I helped paint that one.
Okay.
And so that was one of the first ones where I helped to go paint him. And then throughout the years, you know, just go and like kick it with the homie and just learn how to like do it a little bit. Hey, this is how you do it. All right, cool. And then paint a little bit. That's really, I was just dabbling.
Yeah.
And just hanging out with the homies. You know what I mean? Drinking, having a smoke, just shooting the shit.
Picking up knowledge.
You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really in this thing. I want to paint murals, you know? But then eventually, I did one big installation with LA Commons. I did the loteria, like lanterns with the community. Remember Mama's Hot Tamales?
Yeah.
Across from the Liliflor Cafe. So I was part of this program where we did lanterns with LA Commons, and we hung them all over the park. And they were like, I think 4x3 sizes and squares. It was awesome. I need to put that up, man. I have so many years of stuff. I need an assistant.
You need a website. Yeah.
I have a website,
Okay.
but I actually need an assistant. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyone interested, could hit me up. Anyway, so I need to archive all my stuff because I have a lot of stuff out in just piled up.
There's a lot of young college people that are fresh out of college that know the archiving methods
Okay,
that would
so
love to intern just to be able to do one and have it in there.
I want to put out a book. Anyway, so then, I did that and I was like, man, I think it would be good to do some big stuff. And I just kind of put it in the back of my mind and I want to work with kids. And eventually they're like, oh, can you do a mural? And I was like, okay, let's just do one, and it was sort of like a youth project, And then I did one at the Social Justice Academy. That was one of my first big ones that I did by myself, 3 of them right there. And it was a brand new school at the time. They might have erased it by now, but it was a student project, And then another one here and there. And then the other one in Lincoln Heights with Brenda. And then so Casa Coyo. And then like a little here and there sprinkles. And then the school in South Central. And then I got a gig with the LA City Works. And I was that one artist that go into the school and the next day there's a mural. That I did that for the LAUSD with the city of LA.
That's awesome.
And then
you were just going to school, get a bunch of students to help you out, or would you?
No, those were by myself. So some were by myself, some were like community projects. So I just started getting little gigs in there, and it was more like, for me, it was more like a job. I needed to make some money. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, let's do a mural. Okay, cool. Like, let's fucking make some money. Yeah, I could do it, So it wasn't like I was trying to be a muralist or that's what I'm trying to do. I really wasn't, because it's a lot of work, a lot of physical work.
It's part of the hustle that you have.
Yeah, so
that's one of the things that you have a lot of, which is that hustle, and I think that's what like drove you to make these murals. And
pretty much the hustle. It wasn't like, oh, I want to pay big, or like, it was like I just need the money. Okay, you guys want a mural? Okay, cool. Let's all do it together. Like that was it. So it happened like that through time. And then now lately I'm just getting a lot of mural work, and I really like it now. I really, really like it. And I like working by myself. I'm okay with that. And I do a lot of like community public art murals. And
how do you approach like what you are going to paint? Like, how do you choose your themes or your subjects?
Like for murals or my own personal stuff?
Or either. Your own personal stuff, let's say.
My own personal stuff, it just comes. And there's no process or no particular way. There's different ways. For me, it's either inspiration by books, articles, people, things, dreams, vision.
Yeah, sometimes a little article will just stay with you and you just pick something from it.
The what?
Sometimes you'll just read an article and it'll stay with you.
It'll stay with me, and I already made up an image in my mind. Like right now, I'm going through an intense time in life, and I already have a series in my head. It's there, and it's going to come out.
A whole series?
Oh, series. It's going to be a series. It isn't going to be one. It's going to be a series.
Oh, okay.
I think of 5. So I'm actually, right now, I bought canvases that are 4x5s. They're big, so I'm going bigger.
Oh, that's good.
So not mural size, but big, because I like big. So this is going to be a series of big changes and transformation, and also showing people's shadows and humanity, the shadows of humanity.
Do you think
I'm gonna go dark? This time, you see, my art is bright, but I have some shadow stuff.
Of course, yeah.
I have some shadow stuff that I don't really share a lot, but I have.
No, what I've said is that your work is honest, but it doesn't come at you like in a negative way. It comes at you, even if it does show
it will,
the dark
but it's
side.
gonna show the humanity, or exactly. The missing of humanity, or like what we need. Really, that's where I'm coming from.
Do you take or how much of your work is a spiritual approach? Do you like meditate? Do you do anything like that? Or is it just like straight up, I'm gonna paint?
It's straight up, I'm gonna paint.
Oh, paint, okay.
Yeah, I don't like meditate. I
don't bring sage around each canvas?
I do. And there's some things that I do. Like when I painted Coyoshauqui Comes Alive, like the Coyoshauqui, kind of like modern day Coyoshauqui on First Street Bridge before it was knocked down. I used First Street Bridge as my background. That particular piece, I only painted when I was on my moon time.
Yeah.
So it had a specific intention, of energy I wanted to put in there. So yeah, sometimes I will sage stuff. I'll sage my murals, and sometimes I'll be like when I was painting the Wakanda mural, like I was going through an experience at that time that was even scary. I put sage next to me so that we cleanse the area around us.
Where were you painting that? Tell me about that.
McBride and Whittier Boulevard.
Oh, okay.
I painted the Wakanda Forever movie mural ad here in Los Angeles.
And that was through the studios or?
Through Marvel Studios.
That's
and awesome. ICU Art and Black Panther. Thank you, Ryan Coogler. Woo!
So
getting an indigenous woman.
What do you what do you see for your future now?
I hope to continue painting and just express myself, and I just want to heal myself in the process and inspire people in the process, and just express whatever feelings and emotions and use my body as a vessel, and there's nothing in particular I have for the future. The only thing I think for the future is building a solid base within my own art business, because now it's a business. Everything we all do is a business now with social media and all that. Branding and marketing. I had to learn all that stuff during quarantine, and I barely got my website up during quarantine, after 20 something years, but I got it up and it's been going and it's been doing good, even without promoting or anything like that. And I feel like if I step up my game is to do that. So my future endeavors is step up my game in that aspect, archive my stuff, expand my branding. So I have projects right now that are babies that I've been painting, sketches, things that are not out, portfolios of work that are ready to be produced. I have a book that I'm working on, and it's a planner organizer book that's also revolved around the moon cycles, and I'm using indigenous knowledge from around the world for that, and the type of information that I know and the type of information I've used for my own life. I put it in one book because I couldn't find a book to buy that I wanted, so I made it. So I've been working on that one for 4 years, test running it, because you have to test run what you do. And then the other one, of course, my Liliflor art calendar that I've been doing off and on. Have a continuity with that, which I don't have because my life has been up and down. But this new year is gonna come up. So then the other,
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. And then the other one is the mural work. I've been getting a lot of mural work and then building a mural team, which I think I found a great team. What's up, Sonji and Kyo Rock? I think I rock with these two artists. Awesome. We've been getting down and we work great together. They help with the Wakanda mural too. Everyone has their specialty within the team, and just building a solid team like that is really important for me to continue that work. And still continue, of course, working with ICU because they're amazing. Stash and his wife, Janine, they're awesome.
Who's ICU?
Inner City and Creative Unity. They were the ones that were taking care of the Venice walls for many years.
Okay.
Yeah, really amazing. They know how to work with a lot of LA graffiti artists.
It's awesome.
And so them, and then also, of course, my art, and also my merchandise branding. And so I have a project called Operation FTP that I'm going to come out with, and Diosa Magic.
What does FTP stand?
Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck that puto.
Okay.
But we could do but no, it's going to be FTF. Fuck that fool.
Oh, fuck that fool. Okay.
Operation FTF. So
I like that.
Yeah, so we're doing that. I'm doing that line, and I'm working on Diosa Magic, which I have now. What I've been doing is workshops. And also have a line that I'm coming out with, which has to do with moon magic. So
Diosa Magic workshops, what does that include?
Oh, well, the workshops that I've been doing through Diosa Magic, and Mujeres de Maíz has been co-hosting that with me, or I've been a guest to do these workshops, is basically using moon cycles so women could connect to their feminine energy and be able to do different things, to be able to work with the seasons how our ancestors did. But I'm also using art modalities in order to, so I'm using what I know how to do, the art and creativity and doing.
So in the workshop, you just go over these things?
Oh yeah, it's like basically moon cycles 101, or connecting in alignment with the moon 101. What does that mean? And I think that once I actually connected and not even at a young age, older age, that really has helped me to set my goals, because our ancestors did that. Not only did women do it or manifesting, we did it with planting, the planting season. So it's basically going with the planting seasons of the moon. And so we've lost it with the Gregorian calendar. We've lost our natural vibration with the earth and the moon cycles.
Yeah.
And even men. So men think, oh, this isn't the moon cycles. That's for some chick shit. No, it's for men.
I think they invented the time that we actually live by, not the Gregorian calendar, but like the day's time for trains. I think it was only invented like I forgot what years, but when trains came around is when they started to do a time clock so that we could know what time the trains were coming.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just the sun's up and the sun's...
Yeah, and then you put a little stick and you kind of knew sort of what's happening. Yeah, so that's... So I'm doing that, Dios and Magic. So I have a couple little projects, but that's about it. And of course, the Brigade Artisan Marketplace that I've always been doing at my studio, which is Kali Luna Art and Cultural Space. So you can find it at Kali Luna Gallery. And I have a resident artist, Maritza, and she's a tattoo artist. So I work with different artists in my studio.
So let's say your Instagram for those two things so people can find you. But
you can find me at Liliflor Art, is LILIFLORART, and you can find me also at Kali Luna Gallery, also on Instagram, KALLI Gallery. And Kali Luna Gallery.
Your website?
And my website is liliflorart.com, Liliflor Art, and every platform, Twitter, all of that. Even though I don't tweet. But I have Facebook too.
It's exciting to hear all these projects that you have going on.
But I have all these projects, but this year's going to be the year. How you said?
Oh.
I'm putting it out there. I need an intern. Let's make some money. And this is the year to make some money, more money. Get that bag, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we're definitely at the end here. I have a question that I ask everybody at the end of each podcast. And it's a vague question.
Ooh,
well, actually, before I say that, I have to ask you, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about?
Is there anything I'd like to talk about that we should talk about? I think you covered my life pretty good. I mean, we could talk about a lot of stuff, but I think
we could start again from the beginning and you would give a completely different, pieces of different stories that would go.
But there's so much to say,
it's so exciting,
I just gave you little snippets, but I think I pretty much told you a lot of stuff. There's maybe a shout out to friends.
Well, then let's get to the final question, which is it's a vague question, so feel free to answer vaguely. And I'm just going to ask this question now without any explanation, but Liliflor, how do you do it?
Oh my God, how do I do it? Do what? What I do?
That's the question, and you just have to answer it.
Okay.
Liliflor, how do you do it?
I make myself get up in the morning. I give thanks when I get up. Put affirmations for most part. Put affirmations, motivational affirmations to get up and start the day. Even though sometimes I don't want to start the day. Sometimes I just want to lay around and do nothing. And sometimes I just don't do nothing. But I do what I do because I have a short time to live. I feel that as I'm getting older, time is going by faster. And I have so much to do.
And even though I'm going to say that we still have 20 to 30 years to live.
Yeah, let's put it on there, yes.
Even though we have 20 to 30 years still to live, our entire life, because I'm hoping to live 80 years, is still just a tiny little.
And it's still a tiny bit. So I feel like I have to get up because I need to get some shit done. I need to get some shit done. And guess what? I need to live it too. I need to live it to its fullest. I need to also enjoy the beauty of life and enjoy it. And as an artist, I deserve to live it while I'm living and not have to harvest the fruits of my work or my family have to harvest that when I die.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if that answered,
No,
but yeah.
Hell yeah. Like, thank you so much. I mean, this was like a great beginning of the year episode. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy so much. And thank you for bringing all these kind words for our listeners. And that's it. We'll see you guys next week.